sure a lot of people are plenty familiar with Dalton Schultz after 2 very, very good years with the Cowboys. The reason he's my pick for most underrated on this Cowboys team is because I see him as that tier below the likes of Kelsey, Kittle, and Mark Andrews for best tight ends in the league. He's with the likes of a TJ Hawkinson, just in that tier below for me. Schultz has shown his worth with phenomenal touchdown equity and an ability to run routes effectively. For me, he's a player that also gets lost on this Cowboy roster because it's such a star-studded roster and he's not necessarily one of those big names that you go to when you think Dallas Cowboys. But from the play he's displayed in the last couple of years, I believe he deserves a lot more respect, and it'll be interesting to see what happens as he is an unrestricted free agent, whether he stays at the Cowboys or whether he goes somewhere else to produce effectively. Spoiler alert, Dalton Schultz is actually not a Cowboy anymore. As I'm editing this video, he's actually joined the Houston Texans on a 1-year, $9 million deal, I believe. So he's no longer a Cowboy, but I'm going to leave him in this section just because I'd already done all the filming and everything to do with Dalton Schultz. But just FYI, he's actually a Houston Texan now, not a Dallas Cowboy. The New York Giants were a great story last season. They had a lovable coach and they really exceeded expectations. They managed to scrap wins throughout the season and even managed to get a playoff win, which was great for them. And a big part of this was due to the play that Andrew Thomas produced on the field and the heights that he's finally reached after being taken with the 4th overall pick in the 2020 draft. Thomas was named to a second-team All-Pro, and he allowed Jones to also have a career-type year and take a huge stride. The likes of Saquon Barkley also produced back to his best, and this was in part due to the play at left tackle that Andrew Thomas produced. Thomas developed into one of the league's best pass and run blocking tackles in the league. And I think due to his prior seasons, as well as the team that he's on, he's probably not as respected maybe as other tackles in the league, and that's why he's my pick for the New York Giants. Now this pick holds a little bit of a personal touch for me because as part of a uni assignment, I actually researched Lane Johnson and found out the mental struggles he went through in previous years earlier on in his career. Before games, Johnson used to get so worked up that he would literally spew and get that much anxiety before games that it really affected him both on the field and off the field. Fast forward to today and Johnson has not allowed a sack since 2020, which is unbelievable at the right tackle position. I mean, it's unbelievable at any position on the offensive line to not allow a single sack across a couple of years. But I feel, especially this year, the Eagles' offensive line got so much love in terms of the Jason Kelsey, your Jordan Mailata. Lane Johnson was maybe, for me, just that step below in terms of how much coverage he got in an almost Super Bowl winning year for the Philadelphia Eagles. For a man to experience performance-induced anxiety to then be now considered one of the best tackles in the league, it just shows how much of a character this bloke is and how much talent he has as a player. Jahan Dotson deserves a bit more love for me. I see him as that forgotten receiver from the most recent draft class in terms of the accomplishments that the likes of Olave, Garrett Wilson and Christian Watson produced. He dealt with a couple of injuries which sort of left him in the dust a bit. Regardless of the injuries, the Washington Commanders last season were plagued by a subpar quarterback play. I love Taylor Heineke, but for a good part of the season, Jahan Dotson was getting the ball thrown by Carson Wentz, who is no longer at the level of the NFL. even with this limited time on the field, Dotson still managed to haul in 7 touchdowns off his 35 receptions. So this, I feel, would be talked about a lot more if he was getting the ball thrown by the likes of Aaron Rodgers and someone along those lines.